Hey everybody, I'm John Elliott Churchville, and I'll be concluding my series on the personal expansion principle today with part 7. My focus will be on the nature of the all-originating spirit who from himself created everything there is, both animate and inanimate, but who made sure that you and I would be created uniquely in his very image and likeness. In order to do this, I'll begin with the first verse of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. At Genesis 1:1, it is written, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Now let's look at the words "in the beginning." What do they mean? The word Genesis is Bereshit in Hebrew, and Bereshit means in the beginning. The word Genesis is the Greek word for in the beginning, which was taken from the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Bible, from which the Hebrew scriptures were translated. So with that in mind, what is in the beginning? It's the place and setting before the existence of anything besides the omnipotent Spirit of God, who appeared upon the void darkness after creating it and set up in ordered succession the infrastructure that would sustain his crowning achievement, the creation of humankind in sub-Saharan Africa. In the beginning, God. Here in verse 1, the Hebrew word for God is Elohim, a more general term than the term Yahweh, which we will encounter in Genesis chapter 2. Elohim is in plural form. To some scholars, it suggests more than one God. To others, it suggests one multifaceted God, one God who could be manifested in 3 persons. To still others, it represents one God who is being referred to in the editorial we form. Any way you look at it, Elohim is in the plural, and that fact will be significant later on. Continuing from verse 2. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Now, this is a significant passage for several reasons. First of all, before there is any light, God is hanging out in the darkness. We don't know how long he's been hanging out in the darkness. It could have been, millions, billions, or even trillions of years. He's not upset. He's not angry. He's not threatened. There is no struggle going on between good and evil. A strong wind from him sweeps over the face of the waters. God is comfortable, God is in charge, and God is in control. Then what does he do? He speaks. He says, "Let there be light," and there is light. Then he divides the light from the darkness. He calls the light day and the darkness night. He doesn't abolish the darkness or destroy the darkness. He names it. Then the writer says, "And the evening and the morning were the first day." It's really interesting that the writer does not say, "and the morning and the evening were the first day." The evening comes first. Darkness, blackness comes first. Then comes the light. Now, even though the Bible is clearly not referring to skin color here, we need to be confident that there is clear, unchallenged archaeological and anthropological evidence first brought to light by British anthropologist Dr. Louis S. B. Leakey and followed up by African scholar Cheikh Anta Diop, that the oldest fossil remains of a human being were found in sub-Saharan East Africa. Further, more recent DNA research has revealed that the first woman who lived on this planet carried the universal gene that is common to every racial grouping on this planet. This woman, even the genetic scientists call her Eve, was a black-skinned, black-haired woman. Wow. Okay, so let's talk about this first day for a moment. God creates the heaven and the earth, causes light to shine on the primordial darkness, separates light from darkness, and gives each a name. And thus ends the first day. There is no biblical or scientific evidence to suggest that what is described in verses 1 through 5 happened in a 24-hour span of time. In fact, it is impossible to have happened in 24 hours because there was no sun or moon created yet, and therefore no way to measure a 24-hour period. The first day could have been millions or even billions of years long. Hey, but if you want to believe that the first day was 24 hours long, praise the Lord and pass the donuts. If you don't believe that the first day was 24 hours long, do the same. Praise the Lord and pass the donuts. What you believe about this has nothing to do with your personal expansion. In all of God's creative work, from verse 1 through verse 25, he merely speaks, "Let there be," and whatever he says comes to be. It's not until verse 26 that God speaks entirely different creative words. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps over the earth." So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Notice how significant the creation of humankind is. God didn't say, "Let there be humankind." He said, "Let us make humankind." He's saying to us today, you were too important to me to leave to the let there be commands. I had to personally make you myself. I didn't delegate your creation to the waters like I did the fish and the birds. I didn't delegate your creation to the earth like I did the vegetables and the animals. I made you myself, and I was proud of you, and you should be proud of you too. Genesis chapter 1 is not about humankind, it's about God. We learn more about God's character and attributes than we do about anything else. Even humankind is created in the image and likeness of God. Thus, the identity of humankind rests in the personality, character traits, and identity of God himself. We cannot know ourselves without having some sense of who God is. That is why it is just as impossible to hate the image and likeness of God and love God as it is to love the image and likeness of God and hate God. The image and likeness of God is but a reflection of the substance of God. If you love one, you'll love the other. And the converse is true. If you hate one, you'll hate the other. I'm driving home this obvious point because you cannot begin to love God until you begin to love yourself. And if you lack self-love, personal expansion is impossible for you. The hidden key that opens the door to your unlimited personal expansion will appear when you accept the fact that you are in your individualized personal microcosm what God is in his unindividualized universal macrocosm. You have within you all the commensurate with his universal macrocosmic being in himself. I'm John Elliott Churchville, certified speaker, teacher, trainer, DISC behavioral analysis consultant, and coach with the John Maxwell team.